Okay, just a little gift for free for everybody. Normally we do this for our GFA VIP members, but we decided to take a little bit of that and make it totally free for Global from Asia podcast and YouTube viewers. This is one of our sessions in Ecommerce Gladiator. It's also a book you can pick up on Amazon, but what we do in our membership is we have live calls where people dial in and watch and engage in real time. So this is just a little clip of me doing it, and then after we had questions and answers and engagements, and it got really interactive, but that's not going to be part of the video. But I just want to give you guys some really good value about team building in your e-commerce business, and I hope it helps you out. Check it out. Let's go into it. Okay, so thank you everybody for tuning in. This is a e-commerce gladiator session for the VIP private community, and we decided to give a little behind the scenes sneak peek. So this will also be put in the audio podcast and our free Global from Asia listeners to enjoy. This is one of our first sessions. The idea of this e-commerce gladiator, we did this already. I have a book on Amazon. I recommend checking that out if you haven't already. And we built a Amazon business using this program. And now what we want to do is have a more group coaching, group community kind of environment for people in our GFA VIP community. So we're going to have these regular calls where we talk about a specific topic in this agenda. Today, we're talking about team building, and we will put this in the membership forum. And this one will also put for the podcast. And team building, I think, is probably the first thing. So the first session is team building, and I've been talking to so many people lately about team building. I think it's probably one of the most important things I think we'll all be learning. And also me as a new parent, semi-new, 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, I feel like team building is similar to being a parent, but also as a boss or a manager of a team. Also, to be an owner of an e-commerce company or a business, you're working with other people. You're understanding what they're good at. You're understanding what they're bad at. So it's very important, of course, to try to get the right team. But I first think we can talk about, and if you're in this session with us, you can also jump in and ask questions either in chat or in the voice. But I think the first question is, do you need a team? There's some people that don't want or need a team. Maybe I've gone through that phase myself. I'll be very honest. I've felt like I could just do it all myself, and honestly, that is the beauty of e-commerce. There's a lot of sellers that I know selling online that do everything themselves. Or maybe they have some freelancers, contractors, they pay per project or per hour, and they do that work for them. But they basically do everything themselves. We actually had a podcast show with Peter, and the whole show was about him he's the owner of his company, and he works with service providers for almost all of the major parts of his business. And he's running a 7-figure Amazon business, and he doesn't have partners or staff. So that is an option. That's a very legitimate option, and that is a strategy. I recommend you check out Peter's podcast on Global from Asia. We'll link it on the show notes. So maybe you don't need partners, but a lot of people I talk to, they don't want to do it on their own. So let's talk about the different kind of partners that you could use, you could work with. There's, I've worked with Startup Weekend. I've met I think even Zach here, we met at Startup Weekend, or we met in a startup community. I was also very active in Startup Weekend, startup events. In a tech startup, the team is usually the tech co-founder and the business co-founder, and maybe also a UI, UX designer, or a growth hacker, or potentially a third kind of co-founder. But most of the time it's a tech and a business person. That is the core team. But in e-commerce, which is mostly what we talk about in our community here, in e-commerce, it's not high tech. I don't think you need to have a tech co-founder in an Amazon business unless you're making software or you're maybe doing Shopify apps or doing some kind of development, most likely your core team of an e-commerce business is I've said this in my courses, in a lot of my presentations, I call it the garbage man and the artist. I think those are your two core partners. And I don't want to offend the garbage men, but I think they might even know who they are if they hear either you're an artist or a garbage man. And no disrespect, but I picked that myself because a garbage man, when I say a garbage man, I mean they own the business of garbage. There's usually private companies, I think in some countries or governments, maybe it's done by the government, but a lot of times garbage collectors are a private business, right? And I don't know if you would choose to be a garbage business owner, but the person that starts a garbage owner business doesn't probably like garbage, right? But they like the process of making a company. They like the data. They look at the opportunity in a marketplace. They look at the numbers of the business, the cost that they would need to pay, the price they could charge to the clients, and they say, this looks like a good business. I'm going to be an owner of a garbage collection agency. And they just do it, right? They don't really care about the product or service that they sell. I don't know anybody that's passionate about picking up garbage. So that's what I mean when I say a garbage man. So, but on the other side, I do believe in actually Amazon sellers, no offense, but they're garbage men. A lot of them, we call them the Chinese sellers, or we call them, the data analytical seller. And I really believe that a successful business owner on Amazon has to be a data-driven, analytical person. At least somebody on the core team has to be that kind of person. So in my definition of a garbage man, the data analytical person is the garbage man because they are looking at the data and they choose the product that they sell based on like supply, demand, competition, margins. It's a spreadsheet calculation. And if it says this widget is the best product to sell, they'll sell that. And no offense to Chinese sellers, but a lot of times Chinese sellers are that because they don't really know the customer in the US, right? They don't have that cultural connection with the product. They're just looking at the competitors. They're looking at the supply demand. And I think they would agree. We had Kan Chan on the show. I recommend checking it out. He's from Guangzhou. He's Chinese and a seller and also in a community. And he would agree. He says Chinese don't care about the brand. They don't care about the product. And I'm generalizing, I'm sorry, but they are just trying to find a good product that makes money. But I still believe you need the artist. So the artist, is me, and I've come to terms with that. I think I've known that about myself, but I'm not good at Excel. I mean, of course I can get by, but I don't enjoy looking at Excel spreadsheets, which is actually a negative. I'll be honest, it's a negative. To be an Amazon seller, to be an e-commerce seller, it's a negative to not be a Excel person, to not be a data person. Daniel Fernandez, this guy is awesome. He's spoken at our events. He's been on the podcast too. He's American, I believe. I hope I'm right, but I believe he's American, and he's based in China, and he loves Excel. He talked about Amazon hacks on our podcast, I think like a year ago or so. We'll link these up on the show notes. So really great content, but he loves Excel. Okay, he's got like those VLOOKUP tables, and he's processing, software from like this software, and he's exporting the spreadsheets, and he's importing it here, and he's running the numbers. So you definitely need somebody like that, and it's definitely a weakness if you're an artist that's not like a numbers person. But there are reasons to have an artist in your team, in your core team. The artist needs to find a unique angle of the product. They're usually the innovator. They're the person that is, knowing the product, that hopefully is not shy to put their name and their face and be, like maybe a spokesperson of the brand. if they're willing to be, but not totally required. But they're the person that's talking to the customer, that's running the surveys, that's understanding the sales copy, that's understanding how to be different in the market, how to know what's the next product to sell, based on trends. So this is the artist. I think the core two people in your e-commerce business is that I've had amazing people in my company and over the years that have been really, really successful sellers. And they told me, they said, I needed to have, there's another potential partner, your sourcing partner. Maybe you could, of course, use sourcing agents, but I know a lot of Chinese sellers, they're my friends, and they have like a partner, an equity shareholder that's in charge of the whole logistics and the supply chain and the sourcing of the factory, as a shareholder, not as an external partner. And they've told me that was my weakness, because I was when I was an early seller in China, I'm also not. It's dealing with a factory, dealing with a supply chain is probably maybe potentially a third partner. That's if you're going to get really big. That's if you're going to be like a scaled, huge seller. You would probably want to have a shareholder or partner that's full-time job is logistics, supply chain, manufacturing. But most likely, if you're a new seller, you might not need that third partner. But I would say those are the two and or three: Garbageman, artist, and supply chain person. I'd say those would be the top three. I don't know if people here live want to give me some feedback. We can talk about this after too. So that would be what you would consider. And then, of course, the next one is the investor. We have a lot of people in our community that have been joining lately that are looking for investors. They want to, they have their dream product. They're passionate about their product. They believe it will do good on either e-commerce or Amazon specifically. And they're looking for somebody to help partner with them to invest in inventory. So that could be a potential partner or an investor. And I've been studying this. I want to help more people in the community to do this. And I've been talking to other more financial experts, and they're saying maybe they don't have to be an actual partner shareholder, but they could be kind of like a secured note. They could invest. It would be like an option to buy into the company, but it would be more like a loan. So they loan you like 20, 30, 40,000 US dollars on an interest rate to buy that inventory or to start your e-commerce business. And then you would pay them back maybe monthly or on a payment plan with interest. And then if later they could convert that into equity in your company, or there's different terms of doing that. So I'm actually trying to help people in the community structure that, because literally I just talked to another person in the community today, and they're asking if we can help them get an investor for their e-commerce business. So I think maybe that's all for the recording, because I know people are always shy to be interactive on the recording. So maybe I'll this is the big benefit of joining our community, our private community, GFAVIP, is not just these sessions, but somebody's popping in.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you?
Do you want to say it on the show, or do you want to say it after?
I can ask questions after.
Yeah, after. Okay. Okay, so then we'll cut it here then for the recording. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and also check out our Instagram at Global from Asia. Thanks again, and see you soon.
E-commerce like over 8 years.